Hello. Have you ever thought to yourself, I'd love my voice to be just that little bit deeper, have some more resonance and richness, and perhaps give you some more authority? Well, here are some easy ways to make your voice sound deeper. I'm Gary. I'm a British voiceover coach, and I teach beginners how to get into the voiceover industry. Now, having a deeper voice may seem like the Holy Grail, and indeed, if you can have it slightly lower, it often does serve you well. Now, that doesn't mean to say you have to have a really deep sort of voice that's as deep as Morgan Freeman's. It's not like that at all, really. It's just adding some extra depth to your voice. And it doesn't matter whether you're male or female, it can really help. But you have to be careful you don't go over the top, and you don't want to sound false, of course. But anyway, here are some ways that I think you can try. First of all, it's using the diaphragm. By that, I mean breathing from down here as opposed to up here. So the air is pushed up through your lungs and then comes out of your larynx here through your vocal folds, and you get a much greater amount of air, so a higher volume of air coming up through into your vocal cords. And that really helps create a nice, warm, resonant sound. Breathing from your diaphragm while you're talking does take a bit of practice, but you can help to strengthen your diaphragm itself by using this exercise with a book or a series of books. So just lay down on the floor, put a cushion behind your head, and then just move these books up and down, breathing in, holding it for a while, and then breathing back out again, perhaps saying some words as you do, or even just counting as you come in and back out again. And it's a very effective exercise to help you strengthen those diaphragm muscles. Another way to get a deeper voice is to modulate your voice less. Now, by that, I mean putting less of a performance in, less energy, and by modulation, I mean the melody that you have. So it's sometimes tempting to give a performance a bit like this. During the Jin dynasty, according to legend, there was a beautiful, intelligent young woman called Zhu. She was from the mysterious eastern province and the only daughter of a wealthy family. So it's got lots of life, lots of personality in there. But if I modulate less, so it's less kind of sing-song, this is what happens. During the Jin dynasty, according to legend, there was a beautiful, intelligent young woman called Zhu. She was from the mysterious eastern province and the only daughter of a wealthy family. So I've still obtained the same effect by telling the story and making it interesting, but I've given less effort, put less effort in, and I've also modulated my voice less. Now, it doesn't mean that you need to be monotonous, you certainly don't, but just dropping it slightly will really help. Another tip for a deeper voice is to avoid eating just before a session. So I find that I'm quite affected by food. So what happens is I have something to eat before lunch, and I'm doing a voiceover, and I'm doing it kind of before and after lunch. In the morning, my voice is quite sort of resonant and warm, and for me anyway, quite rich. And then I go and have a sandwich or something quite carby, maybe some pasta or something. And I come back and turn the mic on and I start recording again. And suddenly it gets a bit reedy like that. It's a bit thin. And I've lost that resonance that I had earlier, before lunch. Now, what I think is going on here is the food is sitting in your stomach and it's restricting your diaphragm. So instead of allowing your diaphragm again to move up and down with plenty of leeway, what it's doing is restricting it, and that means constricting the amount of air that will go up and push up through your vocal folds. And again, you've got less air, so your voice goes a little bit thinner. Now, it may be almost imperceptible to other people, but to you, you feel it. But I think it's also psychological as well, because you get a bit tired, so maybe the control of your voice is not quite as much. So if you can, avoid eating just before you're doing your voiceovers. Another way is to use this, the microphone. Now, This is equivalent to a pair of ears, of course. It's the thing, the device that listens to you. And there's something called the mic proximity effect, or the bass proximity effect. That means the further you go back from the mic, obviously you get a bit quieter, but if you try and compensate for that with more volume, you start to go slightly up the register and it starts to pick up the higher notes in your voice. Until, of course, you go off mic completely. But as you get closer to the mic, it will pick up more notes in the mid-range and also in the lower frequencies as well. So mic proximity, closer to the mic, means bassier notes, and it will warm up your voice. And the further away, it'll be great and it'll be lighter and fresher. And you probably don't want that if you're looking for this deeper voice. However, a caveat to this, and that is as you get closer to the mic, you also pick up a lot of mouth noise. And also, unless you've got a pop shield, which you should be using, I'm not today, of course, it was a bit naughty, but you should be using a pop shield, you'll start to get more poppy and more breathy, which of course you won't necessarily want, although you can always talk slightly to one side, and that will help. So mic proximity effect does help, but use it sparingly and learn how to use it properly, and try not to sound too breathy or too mouthy. And finally, we're going to look at the cheats way of doing it, which is to use software to reduce the pitch without changing the tempo. And to do that, we use our good old friend Audacity. So make sure you've got that downloaded. So this is what it sounds like. Let's give it a play. During the Jin dynasty, according to legend, there was a beautiful, intelligent young woman called Zhu. She was from the mysterious eastern province and the only daughter of a wealthy family. Fair enough. Okay, now we're going to change the pitch and try and make it a little bit deeper. So I go to Effects and then Change Pitch. And what I want to do is use this slider here just to reduce it very slightly. Let's go down there. Go.
During the Jin dynasty, according to legend, there was a beautiful, intelligent young woman called Zhu.
Even that's probably slightly too much. You've got to be very gentle with it. Let's go back to change pitch and let's go the other way. So just adding a bit more treble.
During the Jin dynasty, according to legend, there was a beautiful...
And again, change pitch. And let's see what that sounds like. That should be just about the right amount.
During the Jin dynasty, according to legend, there was a beautiful, intelligent young woman called Zhu. She was from the mysterious eastern province and the only daughter of a wealthy family.
Did it work? Well, it was definitely deeper, but it was also a little bit stranger as well. So there's always a trade-off, especially there, because we're doing it artificially, basically, aren't we? And that makes the sound much more grainy. It's a little bit rougher, and probably I reduced it too much. So I went too far down that way, down into the depths, and I should have been a bit more subtle. So using the Audacity system is a bit of a sledgehammer to get your voice to be deeper. Did it benefit? I don't think it did, really. Great for an effect, though, isn't it? It's really good for an effect, but I'm not sure it's necessarily the way to go. But just experiment with it and see how it affects your voice. It probably will affect your voice differently to mine, and it will be interesting to see what experience you get with it. What I would say is that at the end of the day, although it's nice to have a deep, rich voice, it's not necessary, and your voice is your voice. You are stuck with it, really. You can do little bits and bobs to it, and you can obviously go through those processes of trying to add some resonance and some richness to it. But don't lose sight of the real you and the real sound that you have. And there is a physiological constraint. Your voice is determined in part by your body shape and also how your vocal folds sit within your larynx. And that makes a huge difference to what you're going to sound like. So there are going to be limits, but you may find that just a little tweak here and there will really help. Well, thanks very much for watching today. Please do subscribe, and I'd appreciate it if you press the notification button, which is really good because then every time I upload a new video, you'll get an instant notification. But thanks very much for watching today. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Look after your deep voice or your light voice. See you soon.